Hello, welcome. My name is Kwabena. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. Today I want to share with you kinds of education. Growing up, most of us were told of virtually one kind of education, which is the academic one, the one that we go to school to get. So primary school, nursery, technical school, vocational school, university kind of education. Majority of us focus on that. The other kinds, very few people ever would find out that there are other kinds of education. So that's why we loosely make such statements as, oh, he went to a lot of school, but he's struggling in life. Because the school that we all go to, we go to get certificate. So the one that you went to, if you went to study tailoring or accounting or carpentry, they will give you a certificate for that. That is the essence of school. It's complete. But there are other ones that you have to develop so as to have a very fulfilling and a very maybe a kind of life that you call successful life. So most people don't do that. They say that very few people ever even take book to read after they are out of school, which means that they don't think that they need any other kind of education. And yet there are other kinds that we all have to give some bit of attention. So the first one is academic education, and that is the kind of education that we acquire from school. It really does not prepare us for business or for us to take a risk. And most people who become successful in life, they take some kind of risk. So school protects us. School makes sure that we don't make a lot of mistakes. But in life, it takes the courageous, the one who has a lot of courage, to dare to go after their dream. So the first one is academic education, and that one prepares us to go to to write all the exams. So if you are the first in the class, you think that you are very much educated. The other one is the career related kind of education. Some of us will finish school and then find ourselves in another kind of career, totally different from the kind of certificate or the kind of school education that we had. And that's another form of education. So most people, you are an engineer and you end up becoming a politician. So you become educated in politics, or you are a doctor, you end up starting a church. You become, you tend to have a lot of data in that. So the kind of profession that you develop over time, you also acquire a lot of information. You are constructively taught, and that becomes another form of education. The other one that most people are not taught, but loosely we copy it from the family, is the family kind of education, the relationship kind of education. Very few people are aware that you need some kind of data to be very good at it, whether having friends or raising a family or marrying or building very huge or good network, productive network. Because for this kind of awareness, education is construction. Education is being intentional about acquiring an information that can help you to build anything or form anything or organize anything. So if you are not taught this, you struggle with relationships. So family kind of education, very few people ever pay attention to that. So they think that, oh, I was a professor, therefore I'll be good at family. Then they start to fail and they say that, no, somebody is after them. No, it also demands some kind of education as well. Then the other one is faith or spiritual kind of education. Most of us are religious, particularly in Africa. And so if your religious education or your faith kind of education is weak, you will be the kind of person highly educated, but then you go to this illiterate who does not know anything, who will be tossing you around just because he calls himself a preacher or a priest. If you have very limited kind of education in faith or spiritual kind of education, you are the one who becomes very much superstitious, and you want to use everything that you don't understand. You want to deem it as spiritual. And I used to have somebody like that, highly educated, but was very ignorant in this kind of information. And therefore, he could just go to anybody for spiritual help. So you have to educate yourself. There's a big difference between religiosity and spirituality. Spirituality is what most of us lack. Religion is all over, and religion is a burden. But spirituality connects with love, with faith, with compassion, with the reality of life, with kindness, with the wisdom of God. Understanding the spiritual, it brings the best in us But if you are very ignorant in this, then you follow the magic and the superstition, and you follow the miraculous. You follow all the esoterics without connecting with the spiritual man that you have, So the next kind of education is health and fitness kind of education. So some people, what they eat, what they drink, they have no idea what they are doing to their body. So you cannot be effective in this life if you're always sick, if your body is always broken, or if you don't have energy. It's very difficult for you to be successful. So what you eat, what you drink, the medicine that you take, how you treat yourself, the amount of energy that we all carry, they have a lot to do with the kind of education that we have had on health, the kind of education that we have had on it. The next one is racial or cultural kind of education. This is about the best of it. If you're an African, you've been told a lot of lies about your race and about your color, especially if you were brought up in the West. Color is a big thing. Race is a big thing for most people. They actually attach intelligence to skin color. So any white man thinks that he's wiser than all of us. And the system that they have built there is actually in support of that. So you go through school, all the examples of great thinkers and great achievers are white. And the best of education they give on the African is, when you were just slaves and we came to enlighten you and polish you, we brought Christianity to you. A lot of jargons and a lot of lies. Some even will tell you that we were fighting and we were selling our people. If you don't sit down to study this, you will know that they've been lying to you. A lot of it is not true. And that's why you can have a very highly educated Africans who are very frustrated when it comes to race and race kind of education. So study it. There is a lot that Africans have also achieved. There's a lot that Africans ever did before the white man ever came here. And skin color, it has nothing to do with intelligence. So you've got to learn a lot yourself. You've got to study a lot yourself. You've got to build yourself to be able to know this. The book, I'm reading actually from my book perspective, and we attempted to establish some kind of history. Because for me, you cannot educate an African until you correct this. There's a lot of mess and a lot of errors that have been perpetrated since the Europeans came here, and they sacrificed the Africans for the development of this world. That's why you see Africa is still struggling, because they took a lot of wealth, they took a lot of energy, and they set systems in place that we find it difficult to overcome and to repair. But we can do them if you become aware of this. If you deny it, we will still continue to grow up in darkness and grow up in poverty and lack. So the race kind of education is very key. Don't never ever think that the African is scarce. And some even use the Bible. They go to Noah and his children. How could that be? But they had to use that. You see, there is European Christianity. That's what they use. It's not the master kind of, it's not the Christianity that Jesus taught, which is love your neighbor as yourself. That kind of Christianity, they didn't bring that. They brought the one that will make you inferior, and that will make you look at your culture and everything that is in between as inferior to theirs. So when they had to turn the African into anything, they would change their skin, they would change their clothes, they would wear them. That's why a lot of Africans still wear suit and tie, change their names when they think that they are Christians, change their accent, blow their hair, bleach to look like the white man to become a Christian. So there is a lot of misinformation on this. And if any African starts to think like, Africa, I'm a proud African, they want to say that, then you cannot be a Christian. So there's another one like that. Then the next one is personal education. This is the determinant. The education that is going to make you very successful is the one that you do personally. So there is personal education. The books that you read yourself, the timetable, the things that you read about, the finance, your gift, the technology, all those that you study by yourself, they are going to separate you from all the other things. The last kind of education I want to talk about is financial or business kind of education. Most people will end up working all their lives and they will still be poor because they have not been intentional about money, about how it is acquired, how it grows, and how it's multiplied. Most people will never ever pick a book to study this, and that's why they struggle. So the best of understanding they have on money is salary, and once they get the salary, they buy a nice car, buy a plot, send their children to school, and they struggle all their lives, or take loans and things like that, because most people never ever have never been intentional about this kind of education. So my name is Kwabena. I am talking about kinds of education, and I said that the first one is academic education, the second one is career kind of education, the third one is family or relationship kind of education, the fourth one is faith and spiritual or spiritual kind of education, the fifth one is health or fitness kind of education, And the sixth one is racial or cultural or historical kind of education. And the seventh one is personal education. And the last one is business or financial kind of education. All of this you need. You can decide to add some to it yourself, but the base ones, if you educate yourself in this separately, you'll be very much successful. So if your child just very good, is just very good in classroom, it does not mean they are going to be successful. They have to educate themselves on all these other ones so that they